That was what was cool to see from McCarthy on day 2 is they were heating them up because they were doing first down, second down, third down, scripted. I think, or maybe like first, second, third, or first, second, third, one of those kind of sequences for each unit. And it was a third down, like a 3rd and 5, hot. A gap doesn't get sealed up, kind of just straight pressure from the linebacker. And McCarthy drifts just one step and hits the hot, like a slant over the middle. First down, boom. Pro quarterback has to do that, but seeing a rookie week 2 of training camp, okay, that's really good to see.
All right, welcome back. Greenlight Pod with the Butter King. I'm joined by, fellow Minnesotan and UW alumni, guy I've actually played high school football against. Now he's a staff writer for Yahoo Sports and a new podcast called Football 301, Nate Tice. Nate, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, Classic Lake. Represent.
Yeah, I know, right? Classic Lake Conference, Edina versus Minnesota, or Edina versus Minnetonka.
You represent the rest of Minnesota, Edina versus all. That's exactly how it felt too. When going to Edina, I'm not even from Edina, but that's the thing is I went to high school there and middle school there. Obviously, so I is from Edina, I guess. But yeah, they don't Edina. That's the thing about Edina. They don't treat me like I'm from Edina. But then if I say I'm from Edina, everyone goes, "Oh, you're from Edina." So that's how it goes.
Edina, every day I need attention. Mm-hmm. That's the little Minnesotan moniker slogan for Edina folks.
Have your cake and eat it too, man.
Fucking cake eater, dude. I remember we played you guys in high school and you ran like this funny offense where like the O-line splits were like 2-3 yards apart, and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, you guys shredded us because you ran you're the only one that ran a 3-4. In high school, right? Because you were the freaking nose as like a freshman.
Was two gapping. Yeah, I was like 270 pounds.
And you guys dropped 8 every snap, and it sucked.
We either dropped 8 or blitzed 8. It was like no in between.
It stunk. It was the best defense to go against our offense. Yeah.
Thank you for back in the glory days of high school football, Nate. Good times,
thanks for having me. Yeah. All right. So now where we go? Okay, Wisconsin glory days. We could just go chronologically from here.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, shit, those are the real good times. I see the Wisconsin football helmet in the back, man.
Yeah, I know. It's the best. That's was that my senior year? Was that the Oregon one? It's the one with the rose print.
Yeah.
On it. Yeah.
Remember that? It was so funny because Oregon had like the fancy, like chrome, badass uniforms of chrome. And then Bielema was like, yeah, we're going to do something really fancy and different too. And we're all like hyped. And they just had like a little rose decal on the number.
That's it. That you can't even see. Like anyone seeing this right now can't even see it. Like that's the thing. But it's for us. That was our swag. And the year before, your freshman year, it was the red pants.
Yeah,
that was our swag.
I actually did kind of like the red pants though.
It was good. It was a nice like alternate. Especially, it looks better with the white cleats, though. Black cleats.
All right, let's talk some NFL football, Nate. You were just in Minnesota, right? Back in this lovely state. I'm in Minneapolis right now, but you checked out Vikings Camp. What was it like returning to Vikings Camp? You spent a lot of time at Vikings training camp, right?
Yeah, that one was in Mankato, though. This one is Egan, super mega complex.
Yeah.
Have you been on that thing?
I've been to like Training House and like Twin Cities Orthopedic has a whole like center there. I haven't been to the new Vikings facility itself, but I've heard it's incredible.
It's a campus. It's like a college campus. It's insane. But yeah, it was great. Everyone there is very professional now. It's a far cry from Winter Park where I grew up, which was like a duplex. Yeah. So way different, but going to practice there, it's fun watching them. And this kind of was stuck out to me. And I know you've had experience with kind of like practice regimes and different head coages how to go about it. I know Chip Kelly was probably a whole whirlwind of an experience too, but like watching how practice was structured, a lot of walkthrough, a lot of teaching, a lot of all that stuff. It was kind of like, oh man, this is how it all goes now. Because I did that in the Cardinals practice, like 45 minutes of walkthrough and individual and everything, which I think is great. But that was the thing that stuck out to me. It was like, wow, these guys really kind of teach their stuff.
Got it. So slower paced,
much slower paced,
more learning focused,
way more learning focused, and no repeated plays or anything when they get to team and everything. Yeah, just very teach oriented, and it was cool. It's just so different to me. I'm so used to so much. I mean, even in college, Wisconsin practices were so high tempo, and then even the pro teams I was around kind of were more kind of high tempo too. So it was just, no, I was saying it in a good way. It's really
No,
cool
that's
to see
interesting.
the younger coaches do that.
Yeah, if it's a product of KOC being a younger coach, or maybe if the fact that they have a rookie quarterback has something to do with that. A little bit of both, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit of both. And I think it's KOC. I saw it kind of a couple years ago, and now, as you know, like once a head coach kind of feels more comfortable, like this is my stuff, I think maybe he's like, this is how I actually want to do it. He's a McVay guy too. And they have that. They also have the screens to show replay of every every play. Have you seen that?
On the practice field?
They have 2 screens.
Wow.
I mean, jumbo screens that it replays the previous play, like all 22 clip. Just
That's
wide.
Really interesting. I didn't know that.
That's a McVay Rams thing that KOC O'Connell copied in Minnesota. Yeah, that
interesting.
I know.
I guess that makes sense because if you think about it, if you're on the sideline of a game, you have access to the Surface tablets.
Yep.
And then obviously, like you have, instant replay too. And sometimes you'll be on the field and you'll catch yourself. Like I remember playing in Dallas, and I'm like, trying to find the replay, and it's like such a massive, like screen because it's helpful on the field. Be like, what actually happened there?
Mm-hmm.
If they like bust a big run or something, and you're looking up and trying to see. So that's interesting that they have it. I guess that makes sense. Is like using technology in a way to, help your players and get the most out of your practice reps. Like I
liked it a lot. Yeah. And you can see like really, and especially with coaches on the sidelines, because then they could really see like, oh, who busted there, like QBs too.
Yeah.
And also, it takes that kind of instant lying. Like, we get actually answers.
I was in my gap. I swear.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
He went underneath. No, I went over the top. Like,
no, you didn't, buddy. It's right fucking there.
Exactly. Or I ran the right route. Yeah, that's how it goes. But that just kind of really is what struck me more than even just the players and everything. But O'Connell's impressive. He's a really good communicator. He explains football really well. I really, really dig talking to him. So he's really cool. Watching the quarterbacks, Darnold looks comfortable. McCarthy had a rough kind of first day I was there, but a really good second day. And
that's what's interesting is this time of the year, especially. I mean, look, football media is very reactionary, and we're kind of part of that group. But it's funny because in camp, like it's the same storylines. It's like I remember seeing on my algorithm on Twitter. It's like, is JJ? Is he ready? Is he ready to go? Like he had a bad day, and then like literally the tweet underneath it was like, JJ McCarthy is ready to lead this Vikings offense. Here's a great throw he made, and it's like, it's hard to separate the truth from the bullshit sometimes, especially during camp. But like, what did you
also
see
when they don't know what periods they are? Like people don't realize like that's a 2-minute drill or that's one-on-ones. They just say great throw from McCarthy. Then you see the actual clip and there's like, oh, that was individual. It's routes on air. So that take it all with a grain. Like tape is the resume. Once we get to preseason, that's when you can have some real takes.
Yeah.
That's the resume.
I trust you were a quarterback, and so I'm going to really lean on you during this interview about, quarterback play, especially across the NFL. Dude, I was a nose guard. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at.
You're well read. I remember
your
mom bringing you books.
I knew that was going to come up at some point. But
because my mom was doing the same thing. That's what was so funny about it. Yeah. I was like, oh God.
No, so Nate's saying back when we were in college, like my parents would always come to the team hotels, and these are two things I always remember. My mom would always bring me little goodie bags with like candy and books in them and stuff. And then my birthday is in November. Is always, for whatever reason, we were like always on the road or like during the season, and my mom would come to the team hotel and bring a big cake and like give it out to players like after meetings and stuff. It's funny this shit.
And I walked right by when it was happening, and I haven't like forgot about it because it was just, I don't know, whatever the book you got, I was like, oh, I didn't know you're like reading that kind of stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, big reader,
Beau.
man. Yeah.
Cultured.
I try. Anyway, getting back to the Vikings camp, were you impressed with the rookie quarterback JJ McCarthy or Sam Darnold? I mean, you said Sam seemed really comfortable and polished, but it's tough to we don't want to make these sweeping generalizations like we all do. But I don't know. What did you see from those two during camp?
It's Darnold's so talented, and he's always had talent. It's just always about kind of consistency with him. So you can see his live arm, you can see some of his movement stuff. Like this offensive line for the Vikings is pretty good, like across the board. Maybe have just like one little deficiency at one of the guard positions, but then this defense isn't easy to go against. Brian Flores stuff, and I kind of said it's the kind of defense that takes away training wheels for a quarterback. You have to drop back and throw. Like that's how you beat this defense. So you can't play action, you can't bootleg, you can't. There's no gimmick stuff.
And sometimes you got to throw hot too with these exotic blitzes. You got to be able to diagnose it.
God, you fell right into my trap. So that was what was cool to see from McCarthy on day 2 is they were heating them up because they were doing first down, second down, third down, scripted. I think, or maybe like first, second, third, or first, second, third, one of those kind of sequences for each unit. And it was a third down, like a 3rd and 5, hot. A gap doesn't get sealed up, kind of just straight pressure from the linebacker. And McCarthy drifts just one step and hits the hot, like a slant over the middle. First down, boom. Pro quarterback has to do that, but seeing a rookie week 2 of training camp, okay, that's really good to see. More than even just the arm. All these guys have good arms.
Right.
It's like when you're on defensive line, it's like all these guys are big or fast. It's just it's like, can you do it all?
It's a prerequisite. It's a standard.
Yes, you have to. There's a threshold, and so he has a live arm. You see the athleticism, you see all that stuff. So little things like that is what kind of impressed me. He had a throwaway even on his rougher day. I would say it's not all bad days. He had a throwaway that I thought was good because he got pressured right away, threw the ball away rather than see what a lot of young quarterbacks do is run around and take like a 20-yard sack, 15-yard sack.
Throw a bad pick.
Yep, it gets tipped, and then there's you guys getting a pick, and it's all hilarious. Like you get the BJ Raji in the end zone. But he drifted and threw it away, and it's just little things. And that's what I thought was more encouraging than anything, even just the other stuff. Also helps to have this guy named Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, and exactly.
He's insane, man.
Yeah. He
is insane to watch it because he practices hard too. Yeah. And so he's going up and getting stuff, and they're moving him around everywhere. So I'm excited to see him no matter who the quarterback is, because I think Darnold is going to give him, a live opportunity too. So it's going to be a fun offense. So it really is once Hawkinson comes back too.
Right, exactly. I was going to say great player there at tight end as well. It's nice to have the security blanket and Jay Jeff. So excited to see what, I have so many buddies from Minnesota, and like they all talk Vikings football and they send all the stuff, and I'm like kind of found myself rooting for the Vikes a little bit, it's just like kind of first
they're neutral plus for me. Exactly. I'm neutral, but everyone's either neutral plus, or neutral negative. They're neutral plus. Yeah.
So I want to continue to talk about some of these quarterbacks around the league. I think that's an area that you're a lot more comfortable with than me. So one of the big things, again, reactionary media is, and especially like it's so fun to overanalyze the rookie quarterbacks in these different situations. Another big one is up in New England Patriots. I saw a report that, I think Drake Maye was being outperformed by Joe Milton. I don't know if you saw that, but Chris and I talked about that on Greenlight last week. Obviously, they have Jacoby Brissett up there, who I have a lot of respect for. I see him as a little bit of a Geno Smith maybe kind of scenario for him. Hopefully, I think that'd be a great scenario. But what are you hearing about like Drake Maye and Joe Milton? Is there anything coming out of New England where you're concerned about them or excited, or how do you feel about that quarterback situation?
Yeah, I was super high on Maye in the draft, and I'm still high on him. What I've kind of heard is they are not worried about him. They're actually pretty impressed with some of the mental stuff he's shown. Same some of the blitz stuff. I've seen quotes on that, but just even people I talk to. But they're worried about the offensive line a lot. that is more glaring than anything. And I think Albert Breer had kind of similar sentiments today. But this is a great example of who watches the Watchmen, kind of a source your sources, who's dropping the Milton line and everything like that. And so that was
media intrigue and media, up in New England, crazy.
Agendas? Oh my God. I see every year I get as more of a national guy. I say that with I'm not saying that with like my chest out, but it's, but I get exposed to kind of like a new beat regime and ecosystem of fandom. And it's kind of, this year has been New England, and that's been interesting. That's been, oh yeah, this is a widely covered team that when they then had stability over all these years that kind of kept them all in check. This is kind of crazy.
I feel like the floodgates have opened in the media department a little bit up in New England, and
that's what it feels like.
They're getting a little more exposure,
Yeah, so it feels more Philly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's been just something as me, just my own perspective. But I'm still high on Maye. I think he was always mentally more advanced than people thought. I just thought that offense was more of a college spread it out, simple read offense. That's why it's a can't or won't situation. It's like, is the coaches not just asking him, or is he can't do it? And it was more the coaches just then ask him because he showed some sharp things.
So that's a surprising amount of levity about a college quarterback coming out. A lot of people don't realize that. It's like so scheme dependent too, and
so much.
The college game is.
He's handling protections in college as a redshirt sophomore. That's super impressive to me. It doesn't matter who you are. But like you said, Jacoby is. I love how you compare him to Geno too, because Jacoby's should start in this league. They're it's crazy to me. Maybe the Raiders didn't go after him.
Mhm.
Maybe if you like, he's outperformed Deshaun Watson when he was the starter before Deshaun came back in Cleveland. Like, he's like a solid quarterback. It's the highest end backup you can get. Like, this guy can be that mid-tier quarterback, which is, you see what some other quarterbacks get paid. It's kind of like, this is kind of a nice thing. And he's a great teammate. We hosted him at Wisconsin years ago.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Ohio State game.
Okay.
Your freshman.
My freshman year with
Yep, great game.
That was a good one.
Yeah, him and Nick O'Leary. We went 0 for 2. But yeah, Jacoby was great then, and he hasn't changed at all. Great teammate, great person. So it's like, if Maye has to sit, this is the best person to sit behind and compete with. He's going to actually teach him. And it seems like they have a great relationship already.
And he seems like a really good pro too. Like, he doesn't seem like kind of guy who's going to withhold information or, you kind of understand what I'm getting at there.
Yeah, there's some
He'll help develop a young quarterback, basically.
Yeah, there's not going to be just breadcrumbs. Yeah, it's actually stuff he can use. Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
I want to talk about another, Wisconsin alumni guy you spent some time with, Russell Wilson. Obviously, a change of scenery for him in Pittsburgh. Scotty Miller, who's a buddy of mine from Tampa, came on and, was talking about his time with Russ. And obviously, they have Justin Fields too. How do you think that situation is going to unfold? I'm a fan of Russ. I'm a little biased. And I'm hoping that he, has a great season for the Steelers, but just kind of wondering how you think that might end up.
There's aspects of it I like, and there's aspects I don't. I really do like Arthur Smith as a play caller. Maybe head coach isn't his bag, but as a play designer, he's good. I would actually say really good. So I think that was a good hire, especially for the Steelers personnel. They got some jumbo tight ends. They really invested their OLine. Like, they have George Pickens, who's big and kind of fits in this type of offense. They have 2 backs that are workable. So that all I like. Russ is going to push the ball. He's best in play action, like a Wisconsin offense. Like, we keep referring the Badgers. Yeah. That's what his best ideal system was. Like, good run game, play action. Because he throws a beautiful deep ball. Right. Let him just go bombs away.
Especially like a deep ball off of. I mean, historically for Russ, a deep ball off of a broken pocket, things like that. He does that back shoulder, that spin out.
The fake spin out stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously he's lost a little bit of mobility, but I was talking with Scotty Miller, who's a great, that he is a deep ball wide receiver, and he was really excited about working with Russell. But he doesn't have the same mobility and athleticism at this stage in his career that Justin Fields provides,
Well, that's what I just, as a football, I wish it wasn't Russ, because it's just like, I just want to see Fields in this offense, because Fields, if he can do, Arthur Smith is really good at designing QB run game stuff, like especially in the red zone. When you guys, especially on defense, are all gapped out, and you guys are just boom. You see
Philly do that a ton with Jalen Hurts, and it's a threat. When you have a running quarterback in the red zone, you always, as a D lineman, like, you always have to know that you have to crush the pocket and be ready, because he's not accounted for in, the scramble.
You just look at all Lamar and Josh Allen. That's why these guys are so valuable. They just can create touchdowns inside the 10. And so he's really good at designing stuff. Even with Ritter, who's fast but not a good runner. There's a difference. Like, he's not bendy and couldn't really turn a corner. He was still dialing up stuff for him. He had Marcus Mariota doing stuff. Even Tannehill in Tennessee, he was doing some stuff with him. So yeah, I'm excited. If it's Fields back there, like you mentioned, Russ has kind of dropped in some athleticism. Fields hasn't, and he's bigger. Yep. So at the very least, and I think they've already hinted at it, I want to see some more design run stuff. Like, I think that'd be really cool.
Maybe a dual quarterback situation. They bring him in for some zone read stuff.
They're not committed to anyone. They can do whatever, It's it's not like one guy's some highly drafted, highly paid guy. These guys are both mercenaries.
Right. I mean, they got Russell. They got Russell on a pretty good contract there for
pretty good deal.
That, with his resume. Interested to see how that unfolds. Kind of, again, we're going to do a lot of QB talk today, Nate, so buckle down. I think that's, like, I just had Gerald McCoy interview with Gerald, talked about a lot of D-lineman stuff with him. We'll stick with quarterbacks because you can carry that conversation a little better than me. But, we got to talk about the first overall pick, Caleb Williams. How ready do you think he is for a Bears offense that I think actually has a lot of really good weapons?
I do think he's going to be mentally ready. I think even maturity wise, he seems like a pro already. Like, I thought some of the stuff that he got knocked for this year was so unfair.
Yeah, I'm happy to say that, because I agree too. It's weird. It just seems like a lightning rod for easy, kind of weird,
lazy stuff.
Tidbits.
Yeah. it kind of frustrated me because I thought he was tough as hell. Like watch him on the goal line. He'll lower his shoulder and stuff, and he'll stand in there. He did that O line was like it was. They took turns. Like a guard would lose, a center would lose, and they ran a lot of long play action stuff. So he's just back there. He'd hit his back foot, and there'd be like a nose tackle right in his face. And so has to do his stuff. He wanted to play quarterback though. Like he wanted to drop back and just throw in the pocket. He was trying to work on that stuff, which made me optimistic that like he's going to not, I wouldn't say hit the ground running, but he's going to be more apt and more take to a real NFL offense better than maybe some guys coming out of that offense. Lincoln Riley offense / Cliff. But I think I'm worried about the interior line. Yeah. That more than anything, because everything I just mentioned about USC, that's what's kind of the Bears happening with the Bears. I really like their tackles and stuff, but they just can't, and no one can stay healthy, it seems like.
Yeah, so, I mean, and there's some good interior rushers in the NFC North. Kenny Clark comes to mind. Lee McNeil, guys that can really push the pocket and get up in a quarterback's face in the pocket, which is tough for a guy who's not super, super tall like Caleb Williams.
Are you fired up about that Lions D-tackle pairing?
Yeah, I am actually. I've been hearing a lot about Kevin Zeitler, another Badger, was gassing up that
every
other
segment,
kid.
Man. Every segment.
We gotta do it. Yeah, was gassing up that other. I can't remember the young Buck's name from the Lions, but apparently he's having an unbelievable camp. And then DJ Reader, who's kind of coming off injury, who I have a lot of respect for as a player. So yeah, I mean, I think there's some good defensive line, especially at Detroit. I like how their team is structured, man.
I do too, man. They just keep investing in their guys and they let them develop. McNeil went from like after his rookie year, he was like whatever. After his second year, he was like whatever to me. It's just to me. And then last year, like in the first month, I was like, who the hell's a Lee McNeil?
Yeah, and a lot was made out of his, like he recomped his body, but guys take that jump, where they just get comfortable. They learn how to be professional football players. And sometimes it happens after your rookie year, sometimes midway through your second year. But like there's a point where you can kind of pinpoint every guy where they really just click. And you're like, hey, this guy is playing well. He's understanding his game. He knows his role on the team. I think that's kind of what happened. And Frank Ragnow was another Minnesota guy. He came on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about Aleem and how well he's playing and how he's such a bitch to go against in practice. I'm like, yeah, I bet.
Ragnow rocks, man. He's like one of my favorite players.
Great dude. Really tough player. Good guy.
Such a tough guy. He's so smart.
He went to Chanhassen. He grew up in like Victoria, Minnesota
area. Okay, so. I had a stat. It was kind of a quasi joke. It was like, the Lions were rolling and stuff. He got hurt for 2 games.
Yep.
And I did with Frank Ragnow on the field, the Lions are like this, and this. Without Frank Ragnow, they're like 32nd, 31st, 30th in the NFL. And people are like, Ragnow MVP? Like that. It's just like, hey, just look at the stats.
He's a linchpin of their offensive line, man. And they build that team around, I feel like their trench play. So huge part of that Lions team.
Absolutely. I know. I just see how I detoured the quarterback conversation.
I know.
But Caleb. But I will say this. This is the one thing with Caleb is I do think like any rookie quarterback, he'll have some down moments. It's just gonna happen. He tries stuff, so he's gonna get punished in a game, like where he has 2 picks and a fumble, 3 picks.
Right.
It's just like we were just talking about camp clips. It's
part
okay.
Of the learning process, man.
It's okay to make mistakes. So I'm kind of picturing like Kyler's rookie year. Where it was like it was nice, but it was like a 20 touchdown, 10 pick kind of thing, 12 pick thing, good yardage, good run moments. I would say the Bears are a better team than when Kyler was with the Cardinals that year, but that's kind of how I picture in my head, like the kind of some ups and downs, but overall very good.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to be optimistic about for the Bears offensively. Like they have good weapons. I like Cole Kmet a lot. I think he's a beast.
He's
Allen they brought in, so they have some tools for a young quarterback to work with, which is always a plus.
But we rocks too. I don't know if you watched him. Udunze, their first round pick, the receiver, he rocks. Yep. He would have fit in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I interviewed him at the combine or right before the draft. Actually, super cool guy. He was a great playmaker in college too. I've heard great things. Caleb Williams was stoked when they drafted him. Also,
I was fired up about that. Yeah,
he does perfect, all the good things right. Yeah,
him and DJ Moore are perfect together. Yep. So I know it's gonna be cool offense. It's just
we'll plug DJ Moore too. Chris Long interviewed him on Greenlight last week, so check that out. Always got to plug your own shit, Nate.
Pay the bills.
Pay the bills. Let's see what else we have. Oh, a couple quarterbacks got paid. Jordan Love with the Packers. How'd you feel? I think a lot of people were very surprised at him getting paid like that. Personally, I wasn't. That's kind of how it goes. What are your thoughts on that?
Yep, how it goes. I don't know how everyone gets surprised by this all the time.
Yeah, I know, right?
Everyone's just going to top each other. It's cap goes up. As long as that cap goes up, that's how price points go up. I think he rocks. I even before his it wasn't even a half season stretch. I'd say like a 10-week stretch at the end of the season. Even before all that, he was still showing good stuff, the kind of stuff that I think is sustainable. To me, that's, a little bit of creation, not just like scrambling around, but scrambling to throw, breaking contain and looking downfield. Guys that are aggressive, guys that hunt for home runs and triples and doubles over singles.
Well, there's a sample size of that in Green Bay, breaking the pocket and throwing downfield with the quarterbacks they've had in the past.
It kind of works, right? I know. It's like, even just going all the way back. But each guy. But the thing is, too, is that he will throw over the middle. He'll throw the hard throws, the benders, the seams, the digs, the big boy throws. And that, to me, is why I think it's all sustainable. He's another guy, though. He'll have games where he gets punched. He tries stuff, though. The best guys right now try stuff. You don't want the nickel and dimers. You want the big boys hitting for home runs and then scrambling.
Shots, standing in the pocket, taking shots.
Have
rolling
to.
out
You
the
chunks.
Pocket. Yep, exactly.
All the defensive guys want you to nickel and dime.
So you don't think there's any cause for concern in Green Bay, or if you're a Packers fan, for paying a quarterback who's maybe unproven this much money?
No, I went on Mina Kimes' show. Not trying to name drop, but
it's name drop away, baby. It's a big circle jerk industry, man.
Oh, great! Yeah, I know exactly. I know we're gonna look like Randy Marsh at the end of this. We did so it was like next 3 years. Who would you just have? Like what quarterbacks? Mahomes 1, Allen, all these guys. I took Love 5 because I just think it's I think it's going up. Like he just does the real stuff, and I just think that was just the baseline. I think it's gonna be. I'm really excited about the Packers.
I'm high on him. I was loving him at the end of the year. He played really well at the end of the season last year, and it's like
I think it's real.
Some guys get paid off of one game. It's like for real. And he's had a great stretch, and he's now in the driver's seat in Green Bay, and I think rightfully so. So. Expecting big things out of him. We'll see. I want to ask you about a quarterback battle that nobody is talking about. That's Aiden O'Connell versus Gardner Minshew in Vegas. How do you? What are your thoughts on this? Is this kind of flying under the radar, or where are you at with this?
A little, but I almost think deservedly so. I'm kind of disappointed in the Raiders. Like that actually, I brought it up earlier, but I thought they would be a good Jacoby Brissett team.
Right.
Gardner Minshew to me is we saw kind of what he was with the Colts last year. He's a high-end backup, a good spot starter, gets you through some games, does the right things, but he has a limited ceiling.
But he's a guy that we love, Come on,
he's great.
He's a personality. He galvanizes the locker room.
That's what they say, right? They all love that. I know, but that's the backup quarterback, right? Like, that's the guy. But to me, it's okay. But are you going to draft another guy and then have him with Minshew, kind of like with? It didn't go great, but with like Trevor Lawrence, the rookie year and everything. Okay, but a guy that you are comfortable with, if he has to start, if the rookie's not ready to take the reins. So after that kind of was, and Aiden O'Connell showed some nice things as a rookie, but it wasn't overwhelming. So it's just, I don't know. It's kind of, if a quarterback battle happens in a forest, like, and no one hears it, does it actually happen? Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about
Gardner. I mean, he's one of those guys. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I can just see him getting so hot at the beginning of the season and then, having one of those games like Fitz,
Yeah.
And I love Fitz. Like, there's not a bigger Fitz fan out there than me, but like throw 4 or 5 picks and everyone's like, why the fuck is he out there? Like, where's Aiden O'Connell?
Right. That's why he's him.
Do you think Minshew's going to end up winning that one or what does your heart tell you?
I do. I think they want more of a guy that they feel is ready to play, quote unquote. It's all different thresholds for that. Not that O'Connell is not mature, I think, but just maybe I think this is how they argue it. And I think he's kind of already taken the reins a little bit. I just think with that offense is so close. They got such good pass catchers. The tight ends are cool, and the O-line's workable.
Yeah, I don't think their O-line's bad at all.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's why I'm I wish they had a bigger splash maybe at that position that would maybe put me over the top. The defense could be cool too.
Yeah. I mean, they've got some great rushers over there.
Oh, man. The front's cool.
Obviously. Yep.
Patrick Graham does some nice things as a coordinator. Yeah, I know. The defense is not bad.
Well, we'll see how that one goes. A couple other quick hitters that we don't need to get super into. Just continuing the quarterback talk. Is there any reason to have confidence in Bryce Young in Carolina at this stage? I mean, I try to be as positive as I can in the media, and you know how it is when you're a former player, like you don't like dogging anyone out. And I'm not saying like that, but you get what I mean, right?
Yeah. You don't want, because you feel it's unfair, especially you can't give all the answers about why certain things happen. Watching him was a little bit of the offense didn't help last year, but also it showed that how much tools do matter in the league. We talked about threshold stuff. I think his ceiling, even if it all goes right, is like an average starter. That's the ceiling. Not saying, and maybe that's not what he drafted at number one. You draft, needle movers at number one. And you can find, we just talked about Jacoby Brissett and even Gardner Minshew. And I would say Bryce maybe have a little better than that, but his arm is below average. Like he can't really throw outside unless he's perfectly in rhythm. So if he has to take an extra hitch or he's like feels late on something, like he can't push it. Like he doesn't have that room for error. And he's a solid athlete, but he's not excellent. Like, and if you're going to be smaller, hopefully you're like running. Like you're like a 4'3" guy if you're going to be undersized. Yeah, like Kyler, exactly. Mm-hmm. And even like guys that are skinnier, that like you got to be able to roll. So those right away is why I'm like, okay, I don't know. And just seeing he's smart, but he kind of knows what he is, and that's a double-edged sword. So he's safer. So like I just talked about, hey, I really like Love because he pushes it. It's not just about big arm; it's just like willingness to push the ball. He kind of only does it when it's perfect. And, in the NFL, it's not always perfect.
You can kind of expect that as a defense,
Yep, it's uneven.
That. Yeah.
Yep. And so I do like Canales, and I think he's going to get the most out of him. But it's just, I just think this is what you got to work with. And it's just, I think that ceiling is going to be highly capped or lowly capped.
Yeah. So temper your expectations. I'm glad.
Let's go. Long story short, temper.
I'm glad you brought up Dave Canales, too. Did want to talk about Baker. Just kind of wondering if he's going to be the same guy without Dave Canales. I think I love Baker as a guy. I've hung out with him in Tampa a couple of times, and he's one of those guys. I think I'm happy to see this resurgence in his career. And it's just exciting to see guys kind of who bounce around or whatever, and then they kind of clicks or they find a home, and that kind of to me is always a fun NFL story. And I like Baker a lot. He's got great weapons down in Tampa with Mike and Chris Godwin and. Who they bring in? Sterling Shepard.
They drafted McMillan.
Yep. And McMillan's good. Like we talked about Roma Dunn. Like, dude, he's a good player too.
And then Jalen Polk with the Patriots. The third guy was great too.
I know.
Three of them.
Yeah, but are we concerned at all about Baker without Dave Canales? Are we excited about him signing back with the Bucs because they exceeded expectations last year?
They did. I thought what Canales did best is Baker's an air raid quarterback. Get him in the gun, let him just straight drop back and chuck it. That he's not a play action guy. He doesn't do well when he has to turn his back to the defense. That's just not, even though he has a good arm, that's just not his game. He has to take kind of deeper drops. Like he doesn't throw those great. I've never thought that. I always thought he had a cap on that. But when last year Canales had Baker just straight drop back, no play action, no RPO, more than he ever did in his career. Like I had numbers for this on my own show, but that's a real stat. And I thought you saw Baker kind of thrive in that. Like some of it was, he's going to be a high variance guy. Like he's going to push the ball and take chances. Mm-hmm. When you have Mike Evans and Godwin, that's fine. Like that, that's good. Like that's what
Mike Evans can make you right. His catch radius is like 15 yards.
He's like immortal now. It's like he's just gonna get you 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns. I love Mike Evans. I love Godwin. Mm-hmm. And McMillan's came on. Even Trey Palmer last year had some moments.
Yep.
Kate Otten was coming along too. Yeah. I liked him at tight end. And then who's the other guy? Kokeeft.
Kokeeft. He's a Minnesota guy.
Minnesota guy.
Ko. Yeah, I love Ko. He's a good buddy of mine. We go out and have some beers sometimes.
He'll thump it.
He knows his role, man.
He does. He plays like a guy who's named Kokeeft.
Exactly.
And also he's number 41 at tight end, which is I think is just beautiful.
Yeah, he's like Jimmy Kleinsauce or something.
Yeah. Great throwback. But what more than anything, what I liked is they added Graham Barton from Duke in the first round. I loved Barton, and I thought he could get a chance at tackle. I thought he was a true 4-spot guy, maybe not left side, but he could play the other 4 spots and be like good or better. They want him at center, which I think is great.
They got big shoes to fill at center,
Yeah, right. And they've been trying to, and I know Ryan's try to come back. Oh yeah, so sad. But that's why they need it is because without Ryan, it's kind of been. They had the worst run game in the league last year.
Right.
And I think this new offense coordinator is still going to want to Liam Cohn because he's a McVay guy. They understand their play action stuff. So that's why I'm like, I have some concern. It's like, okay, make sure you watch what Canales did and make sure Baker drops back. But I think that he will. I think he's smart enough to do it. So I'm pretty optimistic about it.
Well, thankfully they locked up Tristan too.
He's
a fucking stud. Yeah, freak athlete and good dude. So that'll go a long way for him. I want to talk Jets really quickly. This is a little bit out there, but they finally had their starting O-line take reps together in practice, and that didn't happen until week 1 of 2023. How important is that going to be for a guy like Aaron Rodgers or? Just kind of create that cohesive feel for their offense headed into week 1.
Oh, gigantic. We're like offensive line play, especially. It's all about timing and trust with the other. So it's just reps, communication, especially there is such a heavy zone team.
Yep.
So that's more than any other concept, run concept. Cause that's all right. When do you leave on the double team? When did you, me and all that stuff they do up front.
Yep.
But that's why I think more than anything that's matters so much. And I think camp this is the most reps you're going to get at it because once the season starts, it's limited reps. So you got to squeeze.
And you got guys that get banged up, moving parts. 6-man O-line, I think, is always one of the most important parts or most underrated roles on a roster.
That's why it's always impressed me what kind of what Kyle Shanahan can do sometimes with his hodgepodge line. It's just, I mean, everything they do. I'm just like, God, I could never coach this up, man. Yeah. But it's like they'll just have some practice squad guy they signed off the street the week before, and that guy starts, and you wouldn't even notice that. Like you don't even notice him the whole game because he just did his job. But it's gonna be huge. Like especially Vera Tucker at guard, he had some real moments as a rookie. He's just battled injuries, so I'm hoping that if he stays healthy, he can really come along. Simpson's a thumper. Tyron Smith, of course, everyone knows Tyron Smith as long as he's healthy.
Fucking pain in the ass to go against when I was in Philly, and he was at left tackle. And
oh my God,
down in Dallas, it's like I'm down in my stance, just trying to look at him like, "Yo, are you double teaming me? Like, please no." He's like, dude, he looks, fucking. Let me widen my stance here a little bit.
Let me just go down to one knee.
Seriously.
Classic anchor. But no, it's huge, especially just what their offense is. Because they're going to be Hackett likes his zone stuff, and they like to boot stuff off of it. Like that's kind of what their fastball. So it's going to be.
So what's the ceiling for the Jets this season? What's the floor? I never know what to expect with the Jets.
The ceiling, if everyone's healthy, is like legitimate fighting top 10 offense and like playoff team easy. I think because that defense is sick.
The defense even if is fun to watch. Yeah,
and they lost some pass rushers, but still they have. Shoot. The guys in the middle are just phenomenal.
Quinton Williams, unbelievable. They have a good linebacking core.
His brother's sick. Yeah, exactly. I know. I love those guys a lot.
They brought in. They lost Huff, but they brought in. Reddick. Hopefully, you can get it all.
Hopefully, that figures that out. Exactly. You see those fine numbers. Hopefully, it gets figured out.
Seriously, I hope he figures that shit out soon. Man. It's a lot of money.
I'd be like, "Hey, agent, you sure? You sure about this?
Let's get this tightened up here, brother."
So this is a playoff team, but the thing is, it's always with the caveat. If everyone's healthy, because even if Rodgers, Achilles and everything, it's still Rodgers. Like I'm just latching onto that one preseason drive last year with Garrett Wilson. They were phenomenal. So I don't know. I think this is a good team if they're healthy, but at the very least they have a good defense and potentially a good offense.
Yeah. Well, Nate, man, I feel like I got a lot out of you. We talked a lot of good quarterback stuff,
That's
a lot
great.
of good, high level stuff. Would love to have you come back on again. Want to give you some love, staff writer at Yahoo Sports, and then your new podcast is Football 301. Right? You want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, just started off doing it with Charles McDonald, aka at Four Verts, and Matt Harmon, who does a lot of fantasy work for Yahoo. Great fantasy work, mostly with receiver stuff, but he knows ball. He can hang in other ball discussions. But we started off with some top 10 offenses, top 10 defenses to get some listicles out there.
Yeah,
just to get the juices flowing. But once the season starts, we'll have some nice recap pods, previews for the weekends. Once whatever that's happening, week 2, week 3 onwards, it's kind of writes itself. So
I'll come on sometime. We can do some cross pod pollination.
Can't wait. Home and away.
Exactly.
Love it. Get scouting already. I'll send you a list of D linemen for next year's draft.
I'll start crunching some tape for you, brother. It'd be great.
Perfect.
But
watch the Michigan guys.
Yeah, exactly. Great catching up, man. Always fun to talk to former Badger and then Minnesota connection too. So Absolutely. We'll have to do it again sometime. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for having me.